How does a man praised as a hero to millions suddenly find himself in handcuffs, accused of a crime that could have ruined everything he built? For years, Matt Wetzel was the calm, steady rescuer on YouTube, pulling stranded cars and frightened families out of the Utah desert. Fans saw him as reliable, unshakable, a good guy in a dangerous line of work. But behind the viral rescues and the smiling personality, a darker story was unfolding. A shocking charge, whispers of fraud, and most devastating of all, betrayal from someone he trusted. This is how it all came crashing down. Matt Wetzel wasn't just another towing operator. On YouTube, he became something bigger, a symbol of calm under pressure with his iconic yellow Jeep, known simply as the Banana. When tourist cars slid into sand traps, when trucks dangled dangerously off ledges, Matt was the guy who showed up. His recoveries weren't staged or polished productions. They were real rescues filmed in real time in one of the harshest landscapes in America. Viewers connected with him instantly. He wasn't yelling or over-dramatizing. He cracked jokes, reassured panic-in families, and solved problems in ways that felt both genius and simple. People loved him because he felt real. His channel, Matt's Off-Road Recovery, grew to nearly 2 million subscribers and hundreds of millions of views. This was no small-town operation anymore. This was a global brand. But what made Matt most endearing was his ability to stay human. To fans, he wasn't just a mechanic. He was a friend who showed up when things went wrong. And that's what makes the next part of this story so shocking. Because no one expects their neighborhood hero to suddenly be called a criminal. But Into One headlines around Utah painted a very different picture of Matt Wetzel. Matt Wetzel wasn't just another towing operator. On YouTube, he became something bigger, a symbol of calm under pressure with his iconic yellow Jeep, known simply as the Banana. When tourist cars slid into sand traps, when trucks dangled dangerously off ledges, Matt was the guy who showed up. His recoveries weren't staged or polished productions. They were real rescues filmed in real time in one of the harshest landscapes in America. Viewers connected with him instantly. He wasn't yelling or over-dramatizing. He cracked jokes, reassured panic-in families, and solved problems in ways that felt both genius and simple. People loved him because he felt real. His channel, Matt's Off-Road Recovery, grew to nearly 2 million subscribers and hundreds of millions of views. This was no small-town operation anymore. This was a global brand. But what made Matt most endearing was his ability to stay human. To fans, he wasn't just a mechanic. He was a friend who showed up when things went wrong. And that's what makes the next part of this story so shocking. Because no one expects their neighborhood hero to suddenly be called a criminal. But Into One headlines around Utah painted a very different picture of Matt Wetzel. In 21, the man who spent his life rescuing others suddenly found himself needing rescue of his own. News broke that Matt Wetzel was facing a felony insurance fraud charge in the state of Utah. The accusation was serious enough that if the court ruled against him, Matt could have faced prison time. A felony conviction doesn't just vanish. It can follow you for life, costing you your career, reputation, and even your freedom. For fans, the news hit like a bombshell. They had watched him save families, laugh with strangers, and make the impossible look easy. How could that same man now be standing trial as an accused fraudster? Prosecutors claimed his towing company, Winder Towing, had filed more than $15,000 worth of improper claims through the American Automobile Association. To the state, this looked like someone trying to cheat the system. To the millions who admired Matt, it didn't add up. They had seen his honesty on display in hundreds of videos. Still, the charges stuck, and suddenly the hero of the desert was being called a criminal. As the legal process dragged on, fans were left stunned. Was Matt Wetzel the man they believed him to be? Or had his friendly image been hiding something darker? For Matt, the answer was far more complicated than the headlines suggested. To understand why Matt Wetzel ended up in court, you have to look at his company's contract with the American Automobile Association, better known as CHOTPOA. On paper, it was simple. APOA covers standard towing. Break down on a highway, blow a tire, run out of bounds, CHOTPOA steps in and pays for the rescue. But here's the catch. Matt's recoveries were almost never standard. His team specialized in off-road rescues, the kind where vehicles slide off cliffs, sink in deep sand, or flip on remote trails. These jobs weren't quick hook-and-go tows. They were hours of dangerous work involving multiple rigs, winches, anchors, and pure ingenuity. APOA had no category for that kind of operation. According to prosecutors, Matt's company submitted claims anyway, using customer information after jobs to build APOA for rescues that didn't technically qualify. The state argued this was deliberate fraud, over $15,000 billed for services that shouldn't have been covered. Matt, however, told a different story. In his view, The work was real, the danger was real, and the customers needed help. If he didn't bill TPOEPA, those people would have been handed shocking bills for thousands of dollars. That's not exactly a thank you after being pulled out of the wilderness. His reasoning was simple. It might look wrong on paper, but it was fair in reality. He famously put it this way: wrong on the front end, fair on the back. Still, intent didn't matter much in court. And while that battle raged, something far worse was waiting for him behind the scenes. As if facing felony charges wasn't enough, Matt was about to be blindsided by something that would cut far deeper than any courtroom drama: betrayal by a close friend. According to Matt's account, the person who turned on him wasn't a rival or some anonymous critic online, but a man inside his circle, someone we'll call KC. KC had been close to the operation, aware of the ins and outs of the growing YouTube channel and towing business. But as the channel exploded in popularity, Matt says KC grew resentful. He allegedly believed viewers only tuned in because of him, and he demanded a staggering 40% of the channel's earnings. When that didn't happen, the situation escalated. At the height of Matt's legal troubles, KC allegedly attempted blackmail, demanding $40,000 or threatening to expose everything he knew about Matt's business practices. This wasn't just talk. According to Matt, KC involved lawyers, sending cease and desist letters demanding Matt scrub him and even his family from the videos. Worse, KC reportedly shared sensitive information that made Matt's already difficult case even harder. For Matt, this was the ultimate betrayal. Not from a prosecutor, not from Tobetoe, but from someone he trusted like family. Facing fines and probation was one thing, but realizing a close friend had turned against him was something else entirely. The wounds of that betrayal ran deeper than the legal scars, and it left Matt standing at a crossroads: give in and crumble, or rise above the wreckage left behind. In 2022, Matt made the hardest decision of his career. Instead of continuing the costly legal fight, he accepted a plea deal. The felony charge was reduced to a misdemeanor, but the consequences were still severe. He was placed on probation for 18 months, ordered to repay the full $15,000, and slapped with additional fines. To the public, it looked like the end of an era. A YouTube hero brought down, not by the dangers of the desert, but by paperwork and betrayal. For Matt, the punishment was heavy, but it wasn't the hardest part. The real pain came from the personal blow, realizing that a friend had been the spark behind much of the chaos. Headlines painted him as a fraudster, some fans questioned his integrity, and the trust he had worked years to build seemed fragile overnight. The weight of financial strain, the humiliation of national coverage, and the sting of betrayal all hit at once. Many in his position would have walked away, shut down the cameras, and let the world move on without them. But Matt wasn't built that way. His story wasn't finished, and as painful as the fallout was, it planted the seeds of a comeback no one expected. Because instead of running from the controversy, Matt faced it head-on, and the way his fans responded would change everything. When the dust settled, Matt had a choice: fade into obscurity or prove that the accusations and betrayal didn't define him. He chose the latter. Rather than disappearing, he kept filming, kept posting, and kept rescuing. He spoke honestly about the situation, never pretending it didn't happen. And that honesty became his greatest strength. Fans didn't abandon him, they rallied. Comments flooded in with encouragement, people reminding him they trusted the man they had come to know on screen. That groundswell of support became his lifeline. The channel not only survived, but thrived, staying above 1.9 million subscribers and racking up nearly 1 billion total views. Matt and his team doubled down on their craft. They built the Morvair, a custom recovery vehicle that became a symbol of resilience, taking something old and turning it into something stronger than before. The annual off-road games grew, merchandise sales expanded, and even a Patreon community developed, giving fans behind-the-scenes access and tutorials. His team stayed steady, familiar faces like Ed and Tom proving loyalty still existed despite the betrayal he'd endured. No longer dependent on Tobetoe, Matt built a direct-to-customer model that relied on nothing but his reputation. Through it all, he didn't need a comeback speech. His actions spoke louder. Each rescue, each upload, was proof he wasn't defined by the worst moment of his life. He was defined by how he responded to it. Matt Wetzel's story isn't just about insurance fraud charges, probation, or a bitter betrayal. It's about resilience. At its core, it's a lesson in what happens when everything collapses around you: your business, your friendships, even your reputation, and you decide to stand anyway. He could have walked away quietly, let the scandal bury him, and been remembered as a what-if. Instead, he chose the harder road: transparency, consistency, and sheer determination. The support of his fans proved something powerful. That reputation is built not on headlines, but on years of actions people can see for themselves. In a world quick to cancel and condemn, Matt's survival shows that redemption isn't just possible, it's earned. Betrayal may have tried to break him, but loyalty rebuilt him stronger. Today, when you see Matt's yellow Jeep tugging a stranded rig out of the sand, you don't just see a recovery mission. You see a man who was knocked down and climbed back up, stronger and smarter than before. His story forces us to ask, what truly defines a person? Is it the mistakes they've made, or the way they rise after being knocked down? Do you believe Matt's redemption proves that character matters more than any headline? Or was it the unwavering support of his fans that made his comeback possible? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and if you found this story inspiring, hit like and subscribe for more stories like this one.